first is training equipment or walking equipment, which one you'd use for which occurrence. No matter what, I would pick a good quality leash. I'm using a leather leash. Leather leash has a nice grip to it. It slides in and out of your hands very nicely. They come in a variety of widths. I have right here a 1/2 inch, and there's also comes in 3/4 inch. It's all depending on what you choose, but you can use whatever you want. Nylon's fine as well. This is just more comfortable in your hands, and it gives you a little more grip as far as holding the leash. With Amora here, she's wearing a martingale collar. Martingale collar is just like any other collar. The nice thing about it is it has an extra loop. This gives you a little more pressure when you're taking them for a walk, and secondly, that way it allows them not to be able to slip out of their training collar. So this is just a basic walking setup. This is for a dog that has very minimal to no behavior issues, or once they've graduated down to not having a huge. I've had Amora in my house for about a week and a half. She doesn't have any major behavior issues. She is a puppy. She's about 7 to 8 months old, so she does jump. We've been rewarding her for sitting down, and she does pull on the leash a little bit. So I'm going to show you what I would do with her if she was pulling on the leash and how to handle that. But first, I'm going to go over a couple options for training equipment that you can have before you take your dog on a walk and why you would use each tool. The first one is an easy walk harness. This is for a dog that just pulls on the leash. It has no behavior issues, easy to manage relatively. You just need to have a little more leverage. The disadvantage about this tool is that when we put it on, the martingale loop should always go in the front and the contrasting color goes under the dog's belly. So I'm going to put this on her. And when I put it on, I always put my hand between the clip and the belly band to ensure that I don't get her skin in it. So the bad thing about this tool, or the good thing, nice thing is there's no neck pressure on the dog. But the disadvantage is it will affect their biomechanics, because when you pull them back and forth, it actually causes their whole shoulders move back and forth, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It discourages pulling, but also can cause some shoulder issues. But it's an advantage because it's not neck pressure. So that'd be the first tool you could potentially use for a dog that just pulls on the leash. So I'm clicking her every time she's keeping her feet on the ground. I use clicker training. It's a great way to mark a behavior that they're doing very appropriately. We've never done this before. Today's the first day we've done it, so she's just learning about clicker training and what it means. So next tool for a dog that may barky or lungy on a leash, very strong, very head forward. She's never wore a gentle leader, and that's the tool I'm going to show next. So a lot of times they like to paw at it in the beginning, but it's an excellent tool and it gives you a lot more leverage. The disadvantage of this tool is it will take a little more time for them to get used to it. In the beginning they like to paw at it, whack at it, try to pull it off. So when using that tool, I always use something called a backup collar or a nylon slip collar. It just goes over the dog's head first, so heaven forbid. When I put equipment on, I always give them a reward, food, simply because I want them to know that by putting something on, they're going to get something that they want. Of course, we have cat distractions. Good girl. Nice. So, when putting the gentle leader on, the loop goes over their nose. I give her food and clips nice and tight behind the head. So when fitting this tool, as I said, she's never had this on, so I would not be surprised if she starts fussing with it. I just fitted it to her before, so that's the only time she's had it on. I always would clip the backup collar first, then the clip goes up here. So, but it gives you a lot of leverage if the dog were reacting on the leash, and we're going to lunge at dogs, lunge at people, any of that kind of stuff. So with that, she's going to paw. I'm going to take it off for her in a second. I just want her to look at me. I'm going to wait a second. Yes. Good girl. That one off. And finally, last but not least, there are different variations of this tool. A couple are called the transitional leash, which is a cross between a slip leash and a head halter. And there also is a halty head collar. I prefer either the transitional leash or the gentle leader, just because they fit up high and tight, dog can't get them off, and it's also got some nice calming effects with it. Finally, last but not least, is called a star mark collar. It's a modified pinch collar. This is the large size with the bigger loops. It's not as intense as a metal pinch, but it gives you a little more pressure on the dog. The nice thing about it is the pressure release technology. Basically, when the dog pulls, it has the pressure on the neck. When the dog stops pulling, the pressure is immediately released. So I'm going to work more today on that. That's the tool we've been using the most often with her. She's doing really good ignoring those cats. That is the tool that we use on her, but those are all tool options you can have. As I said, if a dog is reactive to other dogs, I would really recommend the head collar. If they're just a strong puller, you can use either the no pull harness or like a star mark collar. The goal on all these tools is to work the dog down to the base collar, which on this dog would be the martingale collar. So that's good. As far as leash thing, next thing, it's most important when walking a dog that's going to be strong on a leash or reactive to other dogs is your leash handling skills. Big tools here. I have a treat bag with her favorite treats in it, be really high value, not just milk bones. I'm using freeze-dried chicken with her today. So make sure you're using something that's really high value, be it lunch meat, cheese, chicken. You want this dog to know that if they're paying attention to you, they're going to be getting something really high value. As I said, I have not done much training with Amora yet. She knows sit, but that's basically about it, and she's just learning her leash skills. So, when you're holding a leash, there's a cat right out of frame here that's really harassing us. Amora, sit. So, I'm clicking and rewarding her every time I'm getting a reward command, or she's just ignoring that cat that's being very inappropriate. So, when holding the leash, thumb goes in the leash, and you want to hold it that your pinky's not included and your thumb's not included. By doing that, you have the most grip. So one hand should always be on this leash, no matter what. You can use this hand to hold the clicker as well. Nice. Or you can hold the extra leash in this hand. I call this hand the hand. This hand can be used for the most part for food and clicker, whatever you'd like that, petting her, giving her good attention for good behavior. But it's always there as well if you need to hold that other hand. When holding the second part of the hand, you're going to go ahead and not include your pinky, not include your thumb, cut down. Now I'm going to have you, actually, can you hold this with one hand? I'm going to show this. So go ahead, pull. See, by pulling, it's not going to come in through my hand. Now, this is this hold, the proper hold, like that. Now if I were just to grip it like this, go ahead and pull. See how it pulls right through my hand? The same grip, even though I'm holding just as tight. So go ahead, pull. Not going to come through. I'm going to switch my hand. Pulls right through. So that's why we're not including our pinky and our thumb when we're holding that leash on that second hand. So that's your hand. Heaven forbid something happens, you need that extra hand on that leash. It's right there. So second most important thing, everybody thinks when you put your hands out here, you're going to have all this momentum to be able to hold this dog back that's really strong and really lunging on the leash. But basic physics, if you put your hands out here, guess what? The dog has all this leverage to pull you anywhere she wants to go. Good girl. So we're going to do exactly the opposite. We're going to go ahead and plant our hands right here. This is our center of gravity. This is our circle of strength. Just keep your hand here. So even if it involves putting your finger in your belly button, on your belt, putting it on a certain spot on your sweatshirt, whatever it takes, keep your hand here. Just by doing that, a little person that say only weighs 100 pounds could easily handle an 80-pound dog just by using your basic physics and strength. So that's what we're going to be dealing with. Drop. There's nothing there.
I think it was a treat.